Beautiful ignited soul, welcome to Crime a Queen, your partner in crime. Of course, you may be wondering what the crime is, especially if you are new to this channel. And let me welcome you, of course, if you are new to this channel. And please remember to subscribe and like and share, because this content here is something that I feel a lot of people may be in denial of needing, but very much appropriate for all times, because we need to be looking at change. And they say if you want change, you've got to do something different, something you've never done before. In that sense, of course, being here as partners in crime. Now, what is the crime, you may say? It's the crime of breaking the law of silence. I call it breaking the law of silence. Why are you breaking this law of silence? Because, well, I haven't got a mass career, but this is what has happened. I am very concerned about the consistency, or the in the constant state that we are wearing masks right now, especially for people who have been sexually violated, traumatized, abused, or whatever it is, and you have been told don't even breathe out as much as a word. And so you were invisibly masked, and now you have a mask as well, which seem to represent, we could say it represents that being gagged. You are being gagged. So some of us, again, may not even see that because we have been so entrenched in that conditioning. We may well think that, it's like the perpetrator is doing something really good. This is where you begin to relate and align yourself with what, your oppressor is doing. And so you're going along with that. Now, speaking of that, let me first say that this presentation, we may do more presentations again along this, is about self-identity. I know this is like a real crucial topic. This is a real important aspect of our lives, especially people who have been sexually traumatized. We tend to go on a long process of being in denial to some extent, thinking we know who we are, yet we are in the confusion of trying to find out who we are. Who am I? Now, this is the question everyone is faced with. Actually, in my first volume, that was my question: who am I? Why am I here? And so on. Oh, something just says again, just read some passage out of here. Now, speaking of self identity. Now, let's see. I prayed many times for forgiveness of myself and of others. I just go along with it because I'm doing the serpent. And that was just to find peace. Still, the peace that I found seemed like droplets that have now seemed rendered me a long list, reflecting the absence of its rain. Subsequently, I now seek the peace that provides a sense of deeper understanding. That's what I mean about looking for self identity. To break in the silence of generational curse. Oh my. I mean, I just opened this book randomly, and I am so guided. This is what I mean about when you heal from this state of trauma, your level of synchronicity just skyrockets. It just is amazing. And I mean, I just love when you can capture the essence of what I'm trying to convey here, because I live that life, and to plan doing this, it would be impossible. So I've just opened the book, and I'm talking about, self identity, whatever it is. And Spirit says, oh, just read something in here, which you are witness to. And so I'm going to start this this again. I prayed many times for forgiveness of myself and of others, just to find peace. Still, the peace that I found seemed like droplets that have now rendered me a long list, reflecting the absence of its rain. Subsequently, I now seek the peace that provides a sense of deeper understanding, to breaking the cycle of the generational curse of disharmony in our family, so that you won't have to endure the full impact of the pain and shame it has read. People, I am now just feeling so touched because I could not have found a better verse or paragraph to read right now. My desire and experience in the Open University of Life made me realize that continuing to avoid this matter could be detrimental to the personal growth of all concerned. Of all concerned is not just me. And here I am. I mean, that was the quest, my quest for writing. I wanted an approach that would be of benefit, not just for myself, but for others. And I thought, you know, it just happened very lovingly and synchronistically, and trying to understand why I had behaved in the ways that I did. Why did others behave the way they did towards me? Or how was I conditioned? What were the factors that played out in my life? So, confidence. Okay, I'm shifting from one word to another. So my last presentation where I spoke on identity, and I said I mentioned that if you were to pick one word that would describe who you are, what would that one word be? Please leave your comment, leave a word that would help, just do this. Leave one word. What would that one word be? So mine was determination, and that was at the publication of my writings of my book, which is like 2016 when I published, the end of 2016. Well, it wasn't the end, but I started writing in 2012 or 2013, the end of 2013, 14, because it took about 2.5 years, but I published 2 books with the intention of one. But that's what I mean about synchronicity as well, and abundance. Those things just seem to flourish. So when I was writing, I thought, my middle name is determination, because I needed a word to carry me through that journey of determination to unfolding and unwrapping that construct of my makeup. I wanted to do that. I knew I would need all the strength and tenacity to be able to do that. What one word did I have? Determination. So, that began this sense of self-identity. So what would your one word be of sense identity? Now, hey, let us look at this. Now, of course, TRSHC is the Revolutionary Healing Spiritual Healing Code, which is set codes that I have discovered in the Bible, layers of wisdom that has been in the Bible that opened up right before my eyes. But of course, that too was the result of obeying, if you like, or going with an intuitive notion after reading the whole book of 150 Psalms. So after doing this, which I was inclined to do, now of course, if you get the inclination and you feel you want to go along with this, do that. But of course, everything I have now discovered evolves around the numbers, the frequency, and the vibration. So I am of the strong belief that when I did this, the heavens, the portal was ready. Everything was like key to lock was perfect. So I'm going to say, if you get a notion to do something, especially something you hadn't done before, do it. And this is what got me onto the first stage of TRSHC, which is the Revolutionary Spiritual Healing Code, especially designed for people who have traumatically been damaged through or affected through sexual abuse. Okay. So let us look at that. And of course, TRS, you see here, I'm going to realign myself here, equals 23, just as the word life and many other words as well. But we'll stick to life. So it means that TRSHC is offering you life, a new life altogether. Healing. It's a healing sexual trauma. So it's for healing sexual trauma. Sexual is 10. Sexual, of course, is like the two. It's masculine, feminine, it's everything. So with 10, there you have everything to create. Everything comes from a sexual derives from a sexual seed, connotation, element, whatever it is, a word, everything. Once it is of masculine, feminine, or two sides, we can say that it is 10. Hence, 10 is is said to be the most powerful number. There's 10 on here. Now, trauma, of course. Now, the trauma is 20. Trauma is this is the number like death. Death equals 20. Rock equals 20. South equals 20. So, trauma is something that is also very it's something that denotes like the ground, you could say. It facilitates life and death. So for instance, trauma, it's like tremble, something, there's a tremor, trauma, all those words you could say are interrelated. So trauma in this sense has been we know is a violation, but it's just like if you were to dig the ground, put soil in there, of course you have interfered with the layout of the ground. That's what happened to many people, of course, who have been sexually traumatized. There was an interference of sexual violation. Of course, that was not with it wasn't consensual. Self identity. So we are about in 10 minutes, 12 minutes here, and let me use the other 10 minutes or so. Speaking of self identity, because I feel this is something that we are going to have to talk about and dismantle and really get the different segments of what it means to acquire or have some sense of self identity. Now, let me just give you a brief thing about my story. Story, I should say, might not be as traumatic as mine because, for one, I come from a family of 14 and I am the fifth child of my mother, and that meant I'm the only one of my 14 of the 14 or the other 13 siblings as well with a different father. So that being a fifth child with a different father, my I was the emblem of infidelity. So that would be one thing that would lay a foundation, if you like, for not having a full sense of self identity. I always felt that I was different with my other siblings. I always felt that I was treated differently. Now, that is not to say that my other siblings were treated all like precious gems. No, we all had our fair share. But however, when I say our fair share of, but there was severity of punishment on where I was concerned. Mother, for her sense of feeling that she'd done something wrong, and which I won't go into all the ramifications right now, but because of that, she also felt powerless. And so, feeling powerless and feeling a sense of not belonging and having no sense of self or identity, that will laid another layer, if you like, of fragility that one could have or could, where I, in fact, was subjected to sexual violence and incest and all the rest of whatever ugly tags that go with that. So for one, I'm already feeling embarrassed and shame because I also remember a young man who was chatting me up in my teens, and he says, "Oh, I know that he's not your real father, but so that means when you grow up, you're going to do just like your mother. And that means that your mother was unfaithful to her husband while she had you, which you can't deny. So that means you are going to do the same." So you can imagine what sense of self that left me with. Not really having much sense of love for myself in this sense. So it would mean that I probably grew up, and I say probably, grew not having a sense of love for either gender, man or woman, in that sense, because, of course, my stepfather was very brutal towards me. But and I don't want to leave you with an impression that that was it. We did make all right wrong in the end, if you like, before he passed. And I think he would be very proud of me doing what I do today to ensure that this we break the law of silence. So when I speak of the law of silence as well, is that what's important for people to understand, if you had a wound or so and someone just, well, it sounds brutal, but someone slashed you. Let's just put it this way. We tend to think that when we see the blood flow, it is worse than when we don't see the blood. But I can assure you it's even worse, because that we go into denial as well. So you would put a pressure on it or a plaster on it, and to ensure that you do not lose too much blood, and also that when the cells can like the blood clots, so the, the cells, you're not bleeding anymore, and so you would have that, so you can manage your wound. But however, would you leave that bandage on forever? No, you would not. You could not. It would not heal properly. So it means that you would need the right environment as you go along, to find the right environment for your healing of that wound to happen in a healthy way. Likewise, when you have been sexually traumatized, you need the right environment for this wound to heal. So let's go back to self identity. When you are in this state, because a lot of people have not found that kind of environment to air out the wound in a healthy way, and because of that lack in that sense, meaning having someone who can believe them, having someone who trusts them, or having their story, or not carrying all the blame, shame, and guilt and pain, and so all of those things have they have found their resonance, not just a residential part, if you like. They reside in your psyche, in your bones, in your makeup. They create, everything creates. They create the room in your makeup. They form cysts, they form headaches, they form depression, and all of those things that then you are exhibiting in the external world now. And so you would be probably labeled psychotic, or mental health, or depression, or erratic, everything that would have some kind of knock-on effect of, or the result, a result of what has happened to you. And so, because you have, these are the labels that have been attached to you, oftentimes this is the sort of representation that is being mirrored, and you then act on those kind of labels. Oh, crazy, particularly with me as well, it was crazy. So then you do something, of course, to identify with yourself, but all you have is crazy, so you do crazy. And so I would like to ask again, if there was one word you could identify yourself with, whether it seemed negative, positive, there are no judgments here on this channel in this way, because by the mere fact you are listening to this video means that you are on your way to recovery. And whether you delve into RSHC or whatever, or psychotherapy or counseling or prayers or whatever, you find the mode that works for you. So, we are talking about self identity, because self identity is about, of course, self love, which is what we do here. It's really getting onto the bridge of actualizing self love. So, you are bridging that gap. You're bridging. When you get onto a bridge, it means that things you let the other things go underneath the bridge. They pass underneath the bridge. So I may have to do another video on this, as I say. And let's get a feather, one of my feathers. So here we have sexual trauma, so which means that comes to 12. 12 is 3. Now 3, if you remember, if you from all my, let's just tilt to this camera a little bit. Yeah. Wow. Why are we doing this, camera? Okay, all right. We're back on. Yeah. So here we are saying, for instance, sexual, we know it equals 10. This is where, in the words of Mother Eve, or the first, when we speak of the 14 gods, I've got to bring the gods in here. The third God, I think it is, when she says, "Let there be light," and there was light. Meaning, this is where, with the word let, it equals 10. So 10 is that, it's like it buffs everything. Everything comes out of 10 in that sense. So we have trauma, of course, that comes to 20, as I say. 20 is that rock, it's that death. So where there is death, there is life. According to Christ, upon this rock, Peter, I will build my church. That means that rock would have to be carved. It would be like you have monasteries carved out of rocks and those things, or whatever it is that represents what you are wanting. So there we have that trauma. Trauma has a lot of energy, and so, or a lot of vibration, and it is for us to transform that vibration, because in the form of 20, the word 20 equals 8, which is infinite. 8, of course, is that bedrock. 8 is that I have been talking about. This is where God is in 8, because God also equals 8. And this trauma here, this is why people thrive on traumatizing each other to get that energy. Believe you me, people, this is a silent, and this is perhaps one of the most common, I almost would say, witchcraft, or way of or cult or whatever. Well, I won't even use cult as such, but this is how people sap your energy. So according to the degree of pain you are going through here, they are sapping the other end, that scale of energy. They thrive on it. Hence, this is why it is important that you heal your life, because as far as you are hurting, they are sucking, they are still operating on that energy. That energy is still being projected in their direction in that way. You take back your energy, take back your power, and build upon your own church, yourself, your God. That's within you. And this is why the scripture speaks a lot about your God. Your God is your trauma. And perhaps it's no wonder where God says, come to me in trembling or whatever. You are the same me. Come to yourself, meaning face your pain, face your blame, face your shame, and that, because the me is that which we refer to ourselves, each individual. Don't think that that me is the man up in the sky. It is me when you're reading it. It's you are reading you. You are the word. So why would you think of this as somebody else? When you are speaking to somebody else or referring to them, that is the part of you that you are connecting with right there. This is why they said, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That way you know that whatever you were doing, whatever you were speaking, saying, being, in that time you are connecting and bringing it back to yourself. It's like my hand stretches out and it comes back to me. Your words go back, you hear them, you utter them, they come back to you. Okay, and you are the word, as I say. So self-identity, self is 6 and identity is 7. So I'm wrapping this up because I feel we are going to go over this again. But identity is 7. Why is identity 7? Because it's 6 days of creation, and these 6 days of creation, including the day of rest, entails, gives the whole identity of who you are. Number 7. 7, that is it. It's complete, that's it. Whatever you let's see, I think there may be 7 letters as well. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 letters. Of course, we have 2 T's, so you could say that there are actually 7 letters because T is repeated itself here. But what we are saying, the whole thing here is that 6 plus 7 now is 13. 13 is 4. 13 is the reverse of if we were to do 8, 8, like 20 is 8, 8 is 31. 31, here we are seeing that self-identity here is 13. I've given a lot of insight on how Christ, with being at the 12 with the 12 disciples and Jesus, let's say Jesus here, and his disciples, they were 13 at the table. That created identity, that created the let's see, I call it the incubator, I call it the tube, I call it all of those things that contain everything right there, because that contains, so you are a container, in other words. And so self-identity is everything that you contain. That's in 13. And in this identity, self-identity, you go through a sacrifice in finding that place. Just like then Christ died, then you could say that you have come out from a trauma, you have come from a place of pain, shame, blame, or whatever it is, because you have had to work in finding the self identity. So here, for instance, you'll find that people who have been sexually traumatized, sexually abused, or violated in any way at all, we have quite a job in finding our sense of self identity. For various reasons, there are layers and layers and layers, and as I go along, as I say, I feel that this is an area we are going to explore on more, and to help you now find a way of beginning to make sense of who you are. So I will say, with an exercise, find what one word that it is that you can identify yourself with, and ask yourself, don't think about it too much. It could be the word confidence, it could be the word search, it could be the word authenticity, whatever it is. But find out that one word that makes, that applies to you, or that speaks to you, that will be of an anchor that you can anchor on each time you are wanting to make sense of yourself. For instance, I still have determination, and in fact, today is the time I have done the numerical value for determination. So I'm trying to do this and to wrap this This is 20, so we have 20, 30, 37, 41, 50, 66, 66. This is 12. So just as we had 12 here for trauma, so I was very determined likewise. You can see the correlation, and I didn't plan this. So we have 12 here. It meant it gives us free, where you are able to now find your W, because free is W, which has a numerical value of 5, or M, which would be 4, to say you're setting a foundation. So in actual fact, we could look at determination as having 3, which is M, free, W, and E, and to form that 8-petal flower, you to get your sense of wholeness. So when I do something like this, I'm able to identify with it as it as well being my life path number. I'm thinking, hey, great, now with determination I can get a sense of a template for who I truly am. Right here, my north, south, my east, and my west. And so I would, of course, play about with those things to get a sense of self identity. Now, if this seems a little bit too complicated, or which I hope it isn't, is that there's another thing you can do. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I am willing to know who I am right here. I am willing to trust that there is something way deep within me that is about to flourish and to show me who I am. Like a flower, like I've got some lilies here, like a flower about to open. Reveal to me self, reveal to me, Crimey, who am I? Crimey, who are you? Have that dialogue. Yes, you have been called crazy before. It is okay to be called crazy now, but just do this in the quietness and privacy of your space so you can hear, you can think, and you can see. Thank you. Please like and subscribe and share and stay ignited. Thank you for watching.